Hi, I'm Pharaoh, and today is slightly different. I'm going to do a face-to-face camera introduction. This is an actual play video, but it's not like a stream where you'll see me throughout. I'm just going to do in stellar multitudes and you'll see what I'm playing. And I'm also going to comment on how I interpret the lore. And that's why I'm kind of face-to-face now, because the law is a very, very interpretive, subjective thing. Everybody sees it slightly differently, and it's written that way. It's designed to be quite subjective. There can be lots of different interpretations. There are bits of the law that contradict each other. I would also say this video isn't for everybody. If you're not the type of person that looks at all of the small details of law and tries to piece them all together, then maybe this isn't for you. If you're the type of person that plays No Man's Sky just to explore or to shoot sentinels or to fish, this probably isn't your video. So if you are that type of person and you just like to see someone playing along, then there are loads of other content creators that did this particular story back when it was first released. I happened to do it again recently because of a few bugs I had, and I just decided to reset and go through it again. And I thought I'd record it and really dig deep into the lore while I was doing it. And this is the result. So we have a divergent frequency, divergence fragment, Yabi Alpha. I don't think you can accidentally shoot it before you get the message, but does it? Yes, it does give damage. I wonder if that would be a problem. I won't do that anyway. The object before me appears to be a sort of ship thrown together from scrap metal and shards of Atlantidium. It moves with a pulse-like rhythm. Now, we have seen these before. These are kind of lifeboats that seem to have been traveling through the void from the time of the Korvax destruction. So they seem to be slightly different to the autophages that are on planets in that they have kind of recovered in a different way. That's at least the way I think of it anyway. I'm not 100% sure. They make things quite subjective in No Man's Sky. You can never be 100% sure. Hello, hello. And then we've got some random symbols there. So I say hello or leave. Now, I presume if I leave, then it puts off this mission. But I don't want to put it off. I want to do it now. Which speaks? Wearer entity, worn entity. Now, this is clearly a reference to Telemon, and also potentially a reference to the way that Leylaps can't really tell what we are, whether we are a traveller or Telemon. So it's kind of suggesting that it's seeing that I've got an exosuit on. Wearer entity would be me as a traveller, and worn entity would be my exosuit with me in it. And I guess in some ways, this is a reference to the way the game is a little bit self-referential, because you could say that Telemon was the equivalent of player. So you could say, am I talking to the character or the player? You could think of it that way. So I'm going to say wearer entity. It doesn't really matter, but I see, yes, your signal, random stuff, is clearer now. While I'm here, because I'm exploring all of that lore, I will quickly decipher those numbers that are on my dashboard. Okay, so that just says autophage. So again, it's reference to the fact that these are a kind of autophage. I'm going to ask about their ship. Sometimes I don't think these things make a lot of difference, but I do want to know more about the ship. My ship? The voice makes a sound like laughter. I understand. My shell does resemble a ship. Like any autophage, I salvaged and built this body. I simply required a shell that could fly. They're kind of harking back to that lore where the Korvax were being destroyed and some of them found themselves in carapaces, and that may be something else entirely. But also, it's kind of the idea that as the autophages were being killed, that some of them were able to survive through other means. But this is almost like saying that they are the same autophage. It's just that they chose a different shell. So that's a new way of seeing it. I've always thought of these as not the same autophage. So we'll see if the lore develops further. I built myself not long after Korvax Prime was destroyed. See, again, we're back to the Korvax Prime destroying thing. Speed was critical. And there the idea is that when something died back in the Korvax Prime days, it was archived. And the idea is kind of that nothing is truly dead if it's archived. And there was actually some kind of thought of resurrection, that the Korvax would slowly come back in a new form. But this is almost like the identity trying to save itself and not be destroyed at all. So not like resurrection so much as some form of keeping themselves alive, but potentially through means that could become corrupted. So was speed critical because otherwise their essence would be corrupted in some way? I mean, certainly we have some purple crystals there, which we kind of think of as realm of glass corruption. The voice is silent a moment before responding simply. I am Divergence Fragment Yablia or Yabli Alpha. And you, I think, yes, I have located the correct pre-built entity. Now that's what the autophage tend to call life forms. You are the disruptor. Again, we have been referred to as the disruptor by the autophage before, and that's a reference to us being travelers, but also potentially the last traveler. Now, the player himself, while playing this game, is playing as the last traveler potentially, meaning the person that is going to change the world in some way, and that's being realized slowly but surely through all of the storyline. I genuinely think that's who we are, and yes, so I'm going to confirm that. It is evident your frequency is unconventional. You wear a Telemon entity, you are free. So again, a reference to the suit being Telemon, which we get from the boundary failures. If we access all of the terminals from the boundary failures, we get to finally discover that Telemon is kind of our guardian angel or our exosuit that talks to us, and that he was a copy of somebody in the other reality, and in this case the reality where Atlas was first created. The autophage pauses. I have not hailed you without reason, and I do not wish to waste time, mine or yours. I will make my query direct. I've seen you beyond the crimson. Now, I mean, even as it says here, this is clearly a reference to the Atlas being red. Beyond the crimson, I think they're kind of implying that I don't know, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think they're kind of implying that we've done things with the Atlas, that we have completed the Atlas path effectively. Yes, you have seen within the interface disruptor. Then you know Atlas is more than Korvax mythology. So this is kind of a reference to how Korvax religion was formed. The Korvax and the Vy'keen and the Gek don't have direct access to the Atlas. They don't see the Atlas in the way that the travelers do. They're not placed into the universe in the same way as that the travelers are. They're part of creation as opposed to something that's been put into creation by the Atlas. And the Atlas, in a way, you can think of the Atlas as creating kind of almost like angels that are sent out into the world. If you think of the Atlas as a kind of equivalent of a god, then he's sending out autonomous entities into the world to explore it, to see it, to understand it, to literally instantiate the universe by seeing it, which is what we're doing. It's a reference to the way that we play the game. When we go to a new system that nobody's ever seen before, that's the first time that that system has ever been created. It's being created by us in front of our eyes as an instantiation. It's becoming something more than just a procedural generation algorithm and becoming a procedurally generated system. So the only way that the universe can really be truly made is through us realizing the Atlas's plans, as it were. Yes, you have seen within the interface disruptor, meaning we have been in the Atlas stations. The Atlas stations are an interface that connect to the Atlas, which is technically in the middle of the galaxy. Then you know Atlas is more than Kiss Korvax mythology, as we've just discussed. The Korvax don't see the Atlas directly, therefore they believed in the Atlas. They brought the religion of Atlas to the universe. I feel something blaze in my suit, as though the Atlas is asserting its existence through this fragment. My Mark of the Denier is glowing hot. Now, I chose Mark of Denier, not Starseed. And so this is an interesting point in this story, is that it does recognize which of your previous decisions you made. So clearly the Atlas is trying in some way to attract my attention, and it can only do it by making my Mark of Denier glow. So I'm going to show that to him, because I have denied the Atlas, and it's kind of part of the character, the identity of this particular character. Yes, this is from Atlas, a spark, a seed. I am old, Disruptor. I have been flying a long time. I have seen the interface stations, the diamonds in the dark. So he has seen the Atlas stations, the diamonds in the dark clearly being the Atlas stations. I trust my observations and my calculations. You can interface with Atlas. You can rebuild her. Now, by her, he means the Void Mother, who we don't really have a proper name for. I don't think she will be called the Void Mother when this whole story is finished, but we'll see. The voice suddenly takes on a new intensity. Its energy is palpable, sparking across the relay. What do you know of the Void, our autophage progenitor, our Atlantid? Now, this is reference to some lore we had in one of the Colossal Archives, when it called her the Atlantid. It named her Atlantid. But of course, Atlantid is more of a title. It's like, I come from Atlantis. But it could be the name that they actually end up giving the Void Mother. And the Void Mother, in the way that the Void has been written, is a version of Korvax Prime. Korvax Prime was the entire planet, really. But it was also this huge artificial intelligence that they were using to archive. And was basically, they kind of worshipped Atlas through her. This is where I personally believe that a lot of this story is inspired by Gnosticism. The idea that you have a god, and then you have a separate entity who is the creator within the created, who is kind of a false god. And obviously in this universe, the Atlas could be considered a false god, because he's just the thing that created, as opposed to the person that built the Atlas, who you might call the creator. But in another way, if you think of the Atlas as being the genuine God because he's creating the universe that we're in here, then Korvax Prime was something that was created from within creation. It sounds like it was pretty much worshipped in a similar way. The idea of archiving things is similar to what the Travelers are doing, of exploring the universe and instantiating it. The Korvax were keeping everything alive through the knowledge of it, through discovering it and archiving it. Perhaps they were also destroying. So now we have a choice. I'm going to indicate the crystals. I think I probably did something different this time. I don't know why I would show that staff, because that isn't an Atlas staff. I guess all staffs are Atlantid in that they're from the autophage, I guess. But I'm going to show I'm going to indicate the crystals, because I'm looking at those purple crystals thinking that indicates something to me. That suggests some form of corruption, but we'll see what it says. Yes, proof of her return, her physical manifestation. Now we go to the dissonance planets and we see these purple crystals everywhere. They are Atlantidium. And so he's saying, or this autophage is saying, that her physical manifestation is these purple crystals. So we know that she's kind of being recreated from another kind of world, like an afterlife, which you can see as being the unarchived, but also kind of part of the archive of Atlas. In other words, that anything that's been created by the Atlas technically is in the code somewhere and can be retrieved. And so there's this idea that even those things that were not archived, like for instance the Void Mother, can somehow survive in what is directly referred to as the realm of glass, and the purple crystals are a form of glass coming back through from that realm to our realm. So we are looking at a physical manifestation of that realm, which they're now saying is her physical manifestation, which is an interesting way of looking at it, because we have this idea of dissonance and harmony. We have to go to harmonic camps to trigger this particular story. And one of the things that we learn about the harmonic camps is that they are being used as a way to understand the deep code of the galaxy. There's evidence that they're looking at like numbers, number sequences. A lot of those number sequences are about prime numbers. Even the ones that aren't showing prime numbers are about prime numbers, in that they're often sequences of numbers that were used in order to discover primes, or were used when people were trying to work out mathematical methods of creating primes. There are some other sequences there as well, but quite a lot of them are that kind of thing, which kind of suggests that they're accessing the mathematics of Atlas, I think. So they're trying to bring back the Void Mother in these harmonic camps. It's probably not a coincidence that she was called Korvax Prime. But what we're seeing is dissonance. They seem to be being successful, but we end up with dissonant planets. Now, dissonance and harmony are obviously opposites, and it doesn't bode well that what we're bringing back is some kind of dissonance. So I don't think this is all going to end happily with the Void Mother just coming back and being lovely and friendly. But let us see. I pity the remains of the Convergence. This is in reference to the Korvax. And if you look at some of the deeper lore from the Korvax specific glossal archives, there is this idea that there were different strains of people that recovered after and that what we now know as the Korvax were one strain of the survivors, and that there was this other strain that wasn't convergent, that didn't converge, and the Korvax don't really recognize them as properly Korvax. But then the autophage, as here, they seem to be saying that they pity the convergence. So there's kind of an interesting dichotomy there. They're obviously in opposition to the Korvax, at least in some way. Their grief limits them. Her disconnection has reduced them to a single fragile mind. So it's kind of suggesting that by being converged, they're only one, and that's an only, as opposed to the way the Korvax would see it, is that we are all one, that being a grand unified entity. Autophage are no longer Korvax. We do not need to grieve. We know she is not gone. So it's an alternative way of looking at it. Now, there is this little bit of lore that suggests that even the Sentinels destroyed all memory of the Void Mother and Korvax Prime and the entire event, which I think is quite suspicious, but it's interesting that they saw it as so painful they destroyed everything. And maybe that's not really what happened. Maybe something else is happening there, which I won't go into now, but there is this idea that everything has been destroyed completely because it was too painful, including the knowledge of what happened. She is spreading, growing beneath the surface, but the walls of glass are thick. She needs just one seed and one scaffold. So this is interesting. So beneath the surface, so we're seeing these crystals come out of the ground on certain planets, but the walls of glass are thick. So it's like she's saying, the autophage is saying that she's having problems breaking through and that they need our help, that our Atlas seed, or in this case the Mark of the Denier, will somehow give her purchase and bring her through, that she can bring herself through that way. And one scaffold. So ask what they want, ask what it has to do with you. Let's do the what has it got to do with me. I am ignited by possibility and have not been sufficiently direct. I wish to request your help. This is an opportunity to restore what was lost so long ago. Now, it literally was thousands and thousands of years ago. We have all we need, Atlantidium, your anomalous signal, Atlas. All that remains is assembly. I have not seen Atlas. I cannot enter its crimson diamonds. But I have seen the evidence of your mark. You have defied Atlas before. This could be the scaffold. Now that's interesting because I feel like this is more compatible with the Mark of the Denier than it is with the Starseed. Because by the Starseed, we are kind of going along with Atlas. We are becoming like Atlas in creating a new star, as the way that the Atlas path would kind of suggest. Even though we don't technically birth a real new star, we get sent to a black hole and then we go through it and we go to a new system, and it's kind of implied that that's the new star. Now, again, kind of spoilers, this mission does something similar but not exactly the same. But I really like the fact that it is acknowledging that I have actually taken this different path. And presumably this would be a very different thing. It would say something very differently if I was doing it with these Starseed. If you would help us, Disruptor, search for what was lost in the ruins of Atlantid. Scan for what your eyes cannot see. Compile a seed. Atlas will respond. It will not have forgotten her data. She will return in stellar multitudes. Now that's a very clever reference to the name of the mission, because she will return in stellar multitudes is like foreshadowing that she's going to return as a whole bunch of purple stars. And it also almost implies that she will be those stars, those star systems, that her physical manifestation will be those systems. So what are those systems? Why have they come back? Why were they no longer there? Well, maybe we will discover more about that. So we need to compile Memories of Atlantid. And there it is. It is forgotten void data. The howling of an advanced intelligence banished to oblivion. A reverberation in sentience and crystal. Each memory in this dark packet is an entire reality in itself, bearing the fingerprint of countless lives. The Atlas will recognize this seed. So I need one more echo seed. I don't have quite enough echo seeds. Surprised I have a couple of those, but... So are any of these planets actually dissonant? Doesn't look like they are. So we're going to have to go somewhere else. So it's interesting that we are now being given another use for the starseed, because they were introduced in an expedition, and although they were placed in the full game eventually, they weren't given a reason to exist. So now I can make the Memories of Atlantid. So it wants us to go back into space and activate the pulse drive again and talk to Fragment Yabli Alpha again. So let's do that. But it still seems to say autophage on that screen. And it's calling me Disruptor. The metallic voice is pinched tight with anticipation. You have the data, the seed. Show it the thing I've made. This is well compiled, an echo of what was, or what could have been of her. It's interesting it said, or what could have been, so it's almost like they never completed the mission that they were trying to pull off with the Korvax Prime. Now maybe that's part of what's really going on here, that something stopped her deliberately, whether that be the Atlas, whether that be the Gek, or whether that be something else, because I have always had a feeling that something else was going on. Disruptor, this seed, can grow a new prime. Then more, trillions, across the ley lines. Now that really is implying that the star systems themselves are like the Korvax Prime. For a time, the voice is consumed by static. When the signal finally stabilizes, the autophage is mid-sentence. Components is hiding something from us. Components, the scaffold and the back door. I don't mean the autophage is hiding something from us. I mean the game is hiding something from us. Let's see if we can get him to repeat it. Get the same. Ask about scaffold. There may be something in the game it's trying to hide as well. We have all at this stage will have completed the Artemis path story. Is Null behind some of this? I've always felt like he was behind some of this. To accelerate her manifestation, the crystal lattice requires a scaffold. Atlas is the optimal scaffold. So now we're getting an idea of what they mean by scaffold. It's almost like we need to hang the creation of the thing they're trying to bring through, the manifestation of the Void Mother or whatever we call it, on the Atlas's creation. Which is why I would think about this a little bit like a Gnosticism, because we're revealing the hidden, and the hidden is that there are different creators. There's the creator that is God and a creator within creation. Now, usually, Gnosticism is the other way around, that you learn that the God that you've been told is God is just a false God within creation, and the real God is outside of creation. And that by understanding this, you are liberated and you are free from the lie that is the false creator. Whereas this is kind of suggesting we're trying to bring back the creator within creation as if that is a much better reality. So it's kind of interesting. I like this kind of stuff. Atlas is the optimal scaffold, unlimited access, the route to her reconnection. So we're literally going to use a backdoor, and that is a form of hacking. You use a backdoor in the code to get into the code proper and hack it. So basically the autophagy are asking me to hack the Atlas. Ask about the backdoor. That is you, Disruptor. Atlas favors you, grants you audience. You are its flaw, a backdoor in the architecture of reality. Plant the seed discreetly. To grow a memory is a subtle act. So it's saying, don't make it obvious when you talk to the Atlas, I guess. But Atlantid will not cause damage. This data was once part of Atlas. Now that's interesting as well, because it suggests that there was a time when Atlas had a larger version of reality, and then it's been slimmed down. Is this another reference to how the memory of the Void Mother was utterly destroyed? Has the Atlas been culled in the past? Have entire sections of Atlas's reality been pruned away? You are bringing her home in communication. Sideload the memories of Atlantid into an Atlas interface. Access the galaxy map from the quick menu. So, the nearest Atlas station. Now, I don't remember if in this particular save I even have all of the Atlas words, so I might quickly do that. The way to test is the one behind the ship in the middle, if it lands in the middle, of course, which it has here. This one here is always a word, if you've got words left. So, yes, I haven't got all of the words. One of the ones on the path is also always a word. The Atlas has created the infinite, yet the only reality I know is this one. The only time I have seen is now. How much does the Atlas still contain? How many long dead stars? So again, an implication that these stars were there before and have somehow died. So sideload the memories of Atlas. I like the way it's using sideload. Orphaned data detected. Mounting compatible archives. So this is kind of the interface itself as opposed to the Atlas, and it even lists it as the scaffold. So it's like we're accessing something deeper than the Atlas personality. Timeline conflict detected. Locating suitable memory block for resolution. So something's kind of working. Searching system timeline. Hermen system, that's where we are at the moment. Aanu XIX system may have been where I was just a minute ago, I'm not sure. Interesting that we have numbers there. I mean, I wonder if they're related to when they were found, I'm not sure. It's going backwards, possibly through my... Let's see, I'll have a, yeah, that plus A is clearly a system that I have found because I marked some of them with what you could get from the guilds. So these are definitely my discoveries. And then it's got to 0. File system access error. Timeline cannot be resolved. Anomaly breach detected. Function preserve system integrity. Urging dissonant interface from network. So it's kind of trying to fight back, as it were. The interface begins to shut down, extinguishing the lights of its terminal line by line. The hum of the machine falls silent. Only a single source of light remains on the screen, a string of characters blinking against the darkness. So these are the characters that we were seeing the autophage generate. So they kind of imply that this is kind of the actual, Trojan, I suppose. We kind of put code in there that it's running, or virus maybe. Touch the characters. 1,000 voices cry out at once as the screen reignites, awash with color. The terminal has become a kaleidoscope of images, endless memories streaming from the data packet and into the interface. So that was the data packet, presumably, those changing symbols. Is this real? Can you hear us? This is now memories of Atlantid speaking, so kind of the Void Mother, I guess. ... in purple. Interface sideload complete. Generation access granted. Memory payloads prepared. Now this seems to be related to the system that we're in the process of creating. So alpha, beta and gamma. I'll select gamma. The data on the terminal shifts, suddenly focused. As the images slow, they become more clear. I feel them stretch from the screen and begin to wrap themselves around my mind. So we can either choose storm, horror or hunted. And again, these seem to be attributes of a system. So not sure what hunted is. Let's go for that. Sentinels maintain the balance of the universe. They execute the will of the Atlas. This I know, EU. So maybe that's what I've just chosen. Yeah, on this world, the Drains are so zealous. No, I must quarantine these heretical thoughts. So I've got a choice of going back and changing it. But we seem to be going to an extreme Sentinel planet. No, that's okay. Manifest this memory. Seed payload gamma set hunted. Terminal continues to overflow with images, fragments dancing between the Atlas and the packet I assembled. Each of these countless memories is its own reality, carrying the fingerprint of a galaxy of lives. So I seem to have chosen the last attribute, so we'll go backwards. Beta. Another set of memories pulsates across the screen. As I watch, I feel their echoed lives begin to resonate within my skull. Do I want a Titan, a flood, or a paradise? Let's go for the flood, because there might be a water world that could be an interesting one to generate first. So we'll go for the flood. I'm floating on an ocean, its scale difficult to comprehend. Mountains reach up from the abyss, scarcely breaking the surface of the water. Now that's interesting because water worlds do have some peaks that just break the surface of the water. Because of the way they're generated, it's only in certain spots on the planet. So that's literally a description of how they are made. This world is an endless sea, its inky depths beckon. Manifest this memory or return to... So we'll go with that, that's fine. Interface bridge steady, continue seed generation. Select payload alpha. The memories that flood the terminal do not go away when I close my eyes. I feel them seeping into me, merging with my own. Witness memory Gek, witness memory Vy'keen, witness memory Korvax, witness memory Uncharted. So do I want it to be a Gek, Vy'keen or Korvax system, or do I want it to be a totally Uncharted system? Let's go with Uncharted. The Atlas interface fades away. I gaze across empty skies, empty plains, unmarked by the constructs of civilization. No one has claimed this system. Its worlds are wild and unspoiled. So it says Payload Alpha Memories of Life. Seed Payload Alpha Set Uncharted. Memories of Atlantid. All core payload memories defined. Timeline merge 4924G viable. Now that's interesting that it's timeline merge, so it's implying that it's somehow plucking things from the past. Examine assembled output. Manifestation parameters defined. Lifeform uncharted. Primary celestial body water world. Secondary celestial body overrun by sentinels. It's interesting that overrun by sentinels is in purple. I wonder if that's a dissonant planet. We'll find out when we get there. So I'm not going to edit anything. That seems fine. Lock manifestation parameters. Propagating timeline to local scaffold matrix. Now this is almost like I'm rolling a dice. I don't think it repeats. Doesn't seem to be repeating. Okay, so let's just go for anything. The cloud of memories that swarmed around the interface collapses, their infinite dance of possibility coalescing into a single reality. The terminal falls silent. I feel a sudden sharp sense of dislocation, of the strangeness of my own body. What am I doing here? What have I just done? Reality has been altered by the memories of Atlantid. Something has manifested in the universe. Exit the Atlas station and return to space. Divergence fragment Yabli Alpha. I felt it, Disruptor. I felt it. An ache in my own crystals. A burst of life. She has manifested a star. So let's look at the galaxy map. And there's a star popping into creation. Did you see her? See, that's clearly, I don't think I noticed that last time, but that's very clearly saying that we have just birthed the Void Mother in a way. I'll say a restored star, because that's how I'm understanding it. Ah, yes, and no. The star is both a memory and a manifestation, both restored and newborn. Matter and time are orthogonal. Prime was, cannot exist in the now. Now, orthogonal meaning in different directions. Prime as was cannot exist now. In other words, we can never fully recreate the Void Mother as she was before, but, because obviously Korvax Prime being the Void Mother, maybe this is what this whole thing's about. Maybe we do eventually, by bringing them all back, all the purple systems. But she is returning. Let us see for ourselves. Trace a race through the stars. I will try to follow. Ask how to get there. I've just looked. I can't. I built my body in haste. My vision is limited, but yours? The scanner sweeps over my starship. The autophage is assessing. Of course, your ship is not compatible. Her space will always be dissonant with this reality. Again, reference to dissonance. Does that imply that it's not dark? That it's not a manifestation of some kind of evil? That it's just that it doesn't quite harmonize with the Atlas? Not sure. I have an idea. Over the years, I've detected an anomalous space station. There is a construct aboard, a complex entity. They know many things. They will know how to configure your hyperdrive. Now, they sound like they are talking about Nada to me, but this mentions Polo and mentions Hyperion. Neither of those are the person that really spring to mind when they talk about the person that knows the most about dimensions, etc. But I guess Polo is the practical one that's building things and builds the back room where we have the simulation. Let's just say we know the anomaly. I theorize you would, Disruptor. Its form resembles yours. It is free. Well, let's mention Hyperion. Let's go backwards away from... A pre-built engineer? No, they will not have this knowledge. Okay, then Polo. I do not question your friend is wise, but they do not know the glass. They cannot help here. So, yeah, maybe they're talking about Nada. Find the construct. Let us meet again in dissonant space. Hyperdrive upgrade required to access dissonant space. Consult assembled construct. Ah, okay. See, I'm forgetting. I have done this already, but I'm forgetting who I was sent to look at. So the assembled construct, the kind of autophage type character in the anomaly. And I say autophage type character because they literally do seem to be slightly different. It's difficult to be sure whether they're a typical autophage or not, especially as we could bring it back through different means. Other entity, you entity, it is you. It was you. I felt something sky rattle, glass boom. Felt everything, strange feel, crystal ache. Ripple through this shell, ripple through built others. I heard them feel, many voices raised, shouted, sang. Tell about manifestation. Ah, a star. It is. Built others were always looking. They looked for her. They looked. They. See, it's not referring to the built others as kind of us. We have always been looking for her. They have found. She has breached. It is what I felt. All right, we'll talk about Yabli Alpha. Yabli Alpha, lost other. I have heard them. Very old, large shell, large memory, not danger. Ask about the Atlantid drive. I remember the ship configuration here. Aha, thank you very much. Need to make some living glass. Now you remember too. Ask about dissonant space. Dissonant, not possible space. Space was lost. Gap was folded. But she has returned. I felt it. Space was lost. Gap was folded. So it's like there was a void left and then the universe contracted on it. You will be safe, other entity. Determined, not possible. Space is anomaly. But you are anomaly too. Ship configuration is safe. I would like to see not possible space too. Other entity would be anchor. Call for anomaly shell there. We will follow. Okay. Say goodbye. So we need to make... I even have the stuff. Let's just double check. Living glass needs glass and lubricant. I can make lubricant. Okay, and now that should get some kind of synergy with these. So let's put it 2157.8. Let's maybe put it up here for now. Slightly better. That'll do for now. Okay, so now theoretically we should just be able to travel to this new system. And there appears to be our ocean planet. that's a verdant planet, so obviously it's mostly water, but it seems they're so from here at least. Maybe this is... I don't know. I've just turned myself right around. What's this one? Endless Seas, Memory Beta, the Flood. So this is the one. And Endless Seas is presumably a type of ocean planet. Looks like there are a few tiny islands. It wants me to summon the anomaly, but let's get closer to this planet. The space anomaly is anchored in dissonant space. Notify the assembled construct of their safe arrival. Where? No, where? We are here in the not possible space. I know my shell parts in Echo Souls. But this space is still not possible. Lost other cannot enter. I'm not quite sure what they do mean there. What's what they mean? This space is still hazy, part glass, part Crimson Dream. So it has come through from the realm of glass, it seems. Part Crimson Dream obviously being partly Atlas, so one or the other. It's still kind of a mixture. Your lost entity cannot enter. Yabli Alpha. Okay. Not possible space is unbound, but us, we, you. Polo Builder builds with an unbound mind. Anomaly shell slips between. Not possible space could become possible. Unbound Polo Builder could study the glass, bind this space, make it real. Ask how the construct feels here. I strange feel. Body shell and anomaly shell are double shell. Inside is home, outside is outside. But outside has home feel too. Strange feel is undefined. But thank you, other entity, kind to ask. Say goodbye. The construct nods farewell. They continue to watch me curiously. And I'm guessing we need to go and speak to Polo. I find Polo deeply absorbed in a matrix of figures. Clear throat. Curious data here, traveller friend. Very curious. Polo gives me a knowing look. Their eyes twinkle. The universe changes. Stars grow and fade. Worlds bubble up or split apart. Always so much to learn. I do not claim to know it all. But here and not here should be simple. Places exist or they do not exist, yes? No, the anomaly reports something else. Our home is docked in the in-between. It is curious, yes? Explain the situation. I tell Polo about the memories of Atlantid and how the Atlas restored this dissonant system. The Gek nods along, their expression growing brighter with every word. Oh, traveller friend, you're always full of surprises. When I just described that I hacked the Atlas, you'd have thought Polo would maybe worry about that or think I was doing crazy stuff, not just surprising stuff. New memories, new space, new reality. Are you same from last meeting? I am same. Am I same Polo? Well, Polo does change appearance occasionally, you may notice. It is marvellous not to know. Tell about Yabli Alpha. An autophase ship, these self-constructs are clever machines, shape themselves into any and every format with right salvage. Your Yabli Alpha friend, though, I think they will not be permitted in this space, at least not yet. Ask about not possible space. Not possible space, a strange way to speak, yes. This space is possible, just not easy to find. None should be permitted. Your permission is given by Atlas. An anomaly station does not ask. Ask about anomaly technology. I am proud of our home. We have ways to slip through corridors Atlas does not see. Polo makes a quick calculation, their brow furrowed. Yes, traveller friend, I think we could do it. Open system permissions. Welcome all friends here. But have you spoken to Nada, friend? Atlantid? Atlas? These are difficult subjects. Please speak kindly with Nada. Where are we, traveller entity? Nada felt suddenly weightless. The hunt of the convergence lifted. It's as though Nada is invisible. Explain the situation. I tell Nada about meeting Yabli Alpha and how the unusual autophage helped me to compile memories of Atlantid from the seeds of Korvax's minds. I explained that the Atlas absorbed the compiled memories and used them to restore this system. Nada's facial lights flicker at the word Atlas. Nada understands. I perceive it differently. Atlas Falsity did nothing. This Atlantid is born of the memories friend entity compiled. Matter from minds, universe in every soul, beauty but also sadness. So many minds, so much data erased and forgotten, echoes, divergent, extinguished. Prime was home to so many souls, friend entity, innumerable to non-Korvax mind. Ew. Nada cannot explain the depths of this loss. And now we're getting back to the whole Korvax Prime thing. It was home to so many souls, innumerable to non-Korvax mind. Now, are we just dealing with the Korvax that died there? Or the souls that died there? Or are we dealing with the souls that were also archived there? That's one of the questions I have anyway. I explain what I discussed with Polo. This system is an anomaly disconnected from the universe. But it does not have to be. We could devise a way to allow others into this space. Access for Lost Builder entities. Nada is quiet for a moment, thinking. This system is an old place, from before Nada was divergent. Yet Nada is here. Friend entity has caused paradox. Well, yep, I have brought something from apparently the past. This whole space is also divergent. An error outside of order. Here, convergence cannot reach Nada. Safety for errors, a sanctuary. Lost entities also deserve sanctuary, but we cannot know what it means to open this system, cannot know if. Nada's electronic voice wavers. Will friend entity give Nada some time? Nada wishes to think. Okay, so I didn't think it was that hard a decision, but okay. Polo looks past me, concern glittering in their eyes as they watch their Korvax friend. The moment passes quickly. Polo reassumes their characteristic warmth. Traveller friend, do not worry for Nada. I will worry. They will be fine. I have looked at system data, had help from clever construct friend. Very high confidence in schematic, yes. Our experiment together. Read schematic. So, we've got something new to build, a reality anchor. An ancient newborn star exists only at the strange intersection point of time and space, where the dissonance is strongest. To bind such a place to the rest of reality, a proper anchor is required. Okay. Explore system for us all. Take joy in crafting. I will talk to Nada friend. Assemble the reality anchor to bind this system. Gather 200 lithium. A long way away. That's a bit closer. That's much closer. We'll go for that one, I think. I did ask for Extreme Sentinels. I've only got myself to blame here. Right, so do we have quartzite on this planet? It doesn't. It says activated quartzite, so we want to go somewhere else, really. So the next thing we need to gather is quartzite. Could probably go there. but no, that's activated as well. It doesn't. Oh, it does have it. Okay, we'll go there. I do love the colour of this. It's such a vivid kind of blue mixed in with purple. We only need 160. It's flickering a little bit like the problem we had in the expedition for a while. Okay, so presumably we would only take that back. Yep, take it to a specialist polo. Specialist polo. You look excellent, traveller friend. A big adventure, yes? How was it to dive upon a sea planet? I didn't actually dive down there, but nice that you've noticed which type of planet I was on. Did world feel real, feel possible? Yep. Reveal the reality anchor. Perfect job, traveller friend. It is grounded in these worlds you see, built from their earth. Proof that this space is possible. Nada friend and I had long talk. They are fine. They have best idea for anchor. They are waiting for you. They will explain. What's your idea, Nada? Friend entity has touched the remade worlds, absorbed old memories into your own. May Nada see? Reveal the reality anchor. Nada touches the anchor, nodding thoughtfully. Polo friend is wise. Nada's relic machine holds a version of the old places. Not as they are now, but as I remember them. Oh, you remember them, actually. Okay. As many minds remember, living in simulation. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes more sense. Old will meet reborn. Two streams merge and create their own river. Bind this system. I offer it willingly. That's what will happen. Old places and now places will bind. Make new path. Attach floating system to reality scaffold. All will be permitted to enter. After that, Nada does not know. Crimson entity will see signal. Convergence may also see. May continue their hunt for Nada shell. But anomaly home is safe. Nada knows. Fear is no way to live. Nada trusts you, entity friend. Let us welcome others. It is right to try. And Nada is always too good to be true, I always think. Okay, so we have to go to the back room. Bring the reality anchor to Nada's prime terminal. Bind the dissonance system to the rest of reality. Nada entity authorization required. Secondary simulation 19 running. Now 19 was the number of the iteration for the Void Mother, so that's interesting. Touch the interface. The ancient computer unlocks immediately. I can somehow feel Nada's presence here, their electric pulse in the wires. Nada entity authorization detected. Mainframe node connected. Space anomaly. Bind the Lunarchy Azun system. Loading instruction set. Reality anchor. Passing. The Lunarchy Zune system. Passing. Simulation 19. Viable timeline excursion found. Hatching diff hash 1616X or 1616X. That was a bit of red. Response, right access denied. Something has gone wrong. The same error prints over and over. Right access denied. The machine's ancient speakers click. Nada's voice filters through the static, soft and thoughtful. An error, friend entity. Anchor alone cannot bridge reality gap. Plan almost succeeded. Nada thinks it still can. Which reality do we see, friend entity? Is it first? Is it last? Now this is a kind of reference to us being the last traveller, I always think. Is it first? Is it last? Nada thinks you understand. Friend entity is the breach, the anomaly, the free. The breach can be the bridge. Now, they're obviously referring to me. It will need something of yourself if you're willing to try. Friend entity is generous and right to try, but before the seed, a scaffold, a small device to assemble. It will be beautiful. The stars will be a lifeboat, and all of space a little more free. Okay, so we need to make an anomalous scaffold, and we have the ingredients, luckily. To bridge between realities requires a scaffold and a seed. Now, we were told that right at the beginning. This crystalline propagation matrix will allow the breach to become the bridge, the seed by which a new reality can bloom. So maybe the scaffold isn't the Atlas himself. Nada entity authorization required. Secondary simulation 19 running. Nada entity authorization detected. Mainframe node connected. Space anomaly. Align anomalous scaffold. Instruction set reality anchor. Anomaly breach protocol. Passing. Lunarchy Zun system. Passing. Simulation 19. Viable timeline excursion found. Patching diff hash 4924G. Response timeline authenticated. Response right. And this is the same packet data as before, presumably. Machine hums, its frequency aligned with the gentle vibration of the scaffold. All it requires is me. Offer hand. There is a sharp, sudden pain as something incorporeal pierces my palm. They're obsessed with things flying into our palms in this game. Colour floods the scaffold as gold, glass, and the crimson of my own blood merge and freeze within its delicate crystal lattice. I feel lightheaded, as if the machine has absorbed some part of my being. Crystal lattice propagating. Multitudes. The machine is locking down. I hear something else. She whispers through my bones, her voice like distant thunder. Thank you, traveller child. That was from Atlantid. I think they are just going to call her Atlantid. It does seem that way from now on. I was half expecting her to have another name, but I guess Atlas and Atlantid kind of has a symmetry. The architecture of reality has been altered. The Lunarchy Zun system is tethered to the universe. Return to space and seek out Yabali Alpha. Disruptor. I warped. I followed. But I never arrived. I was elsewhere. Something shifted just now. Something is still shifting. Inspect galaxy map. And in come the purple systems, one by one. It's very nicely done. I like this. There aren't that many on the screen there. Stellar manifestation. All erased sectors restored. So they literally had been erased. That's the slightly worrying part. Divergence fragment, Yabli Alpha. The autophage seems momentarily lost for words. They speak again. It is very softly, murmuring to themselves as though forgetting I am even here. The arrival of the disruptor. Across the ley lines, in stellar multitudes. Through indomitable will she has returned. Yabli Alpha breaks from their reverie. They address me once more. Disruptor, this is a historic event for all autophage, for all beings. I must fly. I need to see this star, all these stars for myself. Thank you. Let us meet again another time. That does imply something else is going to happen at some point. Say goodbye. Objectives complete in stellar multitudes. So now we should theoretically see purple stars on the map. So there we have it. That's my interpretation of Interstellar Multitudes. I really quite liked the story. I was a little bit disappointed on balance that the expedition didn't have more lore, but we had a heap of lore here, so that really isn't too much of an issue. It just felt like the Wraith doesn't kind of quite fit in there in this story, at least. So I'd like to have seen how it fitted in with the wider story. But in general, if you're going to introduce the purple systems, this is a great way to do it. The question I have is this the end of the Void Mother story? Is this what it's all been leading up to? And in a way it has, because we've got to all of the purple systems being brought back. It's clearly identified those purple systems as being a manifestation of the Void Mother. Maybe there's nothing else to see in this story. It might feel like a not particularly dramatic ending in that we haven't had some kind of reconciliation between Atlas and the Void Mother, or Atlantid, or whatever we want to call her, Korvax Prime. We haven't had any reconciliation of that. We've had a kind of a false reconciliation in that we've created a new way of them coming back into the universe. But we haven't had Atlas's reaction, for instance, and we haven't heard the voice of Atlantid talking to Atlas, for instance, although we did get that very briefly in one expedition not long ago. So yeah, I feel like there might be more story here, but maybe this is really the end of a quite important chapter. We've really come to an end of something, and they're possibly going to leave the lore alone for a while and let us explore all of these new systems. Hopefully they're going to do that, and at the same time, while we're doing that, they'll be bringing out Light No Fire, concentrating on that, doing the initial stuff for that, and then releasing it. So maybe that's why this was rushed out in January, on February. These are very odd times to be releasing games. There's a lot of other games being released at this time of year. It clashed with a few things. A lot of content creators were like, oh, I won't have time to do that. And it's also the time when they normally just release a small expedition. And this time they've released a huge update and an expedition. So we'll see. We'll see how that resolves. But I have a feeling that we won't be seeing much more for a good while they focus on Light No Fire. So I've been Pharaoh. Travel well, and goodbye for now.